Hi guys, Spartan765 here today. Today I'm doing a video, not a gun review. Just been asked, multiple times. Haven't really done a video on this, and that is on the right to carry. Okay. Now, obviously, right to carry, a true right to carry. When I say carry, for those of you who aren't familiar, that's the right to carry a loaded handgun, or loaded weapon of any kind, handgun or rifle, shotgun. The true definition of right to carry, in my mind, is that you don't need a permit, and anyone who is eligible or legally able to possess a firearm has the legal right to carry a firearm with them for self-defense anywhere. Anywhere in public, private, wherever. That's right to carry. Now you see, they have the whole right to carry going on right now where you hear the term right to carry. Well, states are shall issue, those are right to carry states. Well, it's really good that, more and more states are going from may issue to shall issue, and there's a lot of states going to constitutional carry, which honestly I'd like to see all 50 states with constitutional carry. In my personal opinion, there's no reason a law-abiding citizen should need to go and spend money and do all this, to pay, to get a carry permit. Because I'll get into the paying, how much the permits cost later. But my basic thought is that everybody who is not a person anybody who is not a prohibited person, when I say prohibited person, that is someone who is legally prohibited from possessing a firearm, anybody except prohibited persons. So all law-abiding citizens that have the legal right to own a firearm should have the legal right to carry their firearm wherever they want. Now, the whole permitting process that all these states do, like I said, getting the permit is the next step towards constitutional carry. More states are going from may issue or no issue to shall issue, which is good. But the next step is going from shall issue to constitutional carry. Because in the long run, these states that have gone from shall issue to constitutional carry have recognized the reality that criminals do not obey the law. A criminal is going to carry a gun regardless if they have a permit or not. A criminal is not going to go apply for a permit to carry. Okay, that's just not how criminals work. They're going to carry a gun, illegit, wherever they go, whenever they want. They don't care what the law is. That's why they're called criminals. They don't obey the law. Honestly, the whole permitting process, it depends on which state you live in. Now, there's a decent number of states that honestly, we're going to talk about shall issue states here. We're not getting into may issue yet. There's only only like 4 or 5 may issue states left. The rest are all shall issue. The only non-issue state, it's not a state, but, in the continental United States, excluding Guam, Puerto Rico, all those places, the only place in the continental United States that's a non-issue is Washington, D.C. Just talking about the shall issue states here right now. In some shall issue states, the requirements are less restrictive in certain states and more restrictive. I don't know if restrictive is really a good word, but the requirements needed to obtain a carry permit are more substantial in some states than they are in other states. Some states it's not so bad, some states it's pretty bad. As well as in some states, the where you can carry is significantly, structured. As in some states, the state I live in, Minnesota, it's, pretty open, free. Minnesota, as far as the shall issue permits go, as far as the states that are shall issue, I would say Minnesota's law is one of the best because it's one of the most lax shall issue permit states, where you have almost complete, freedom of range, where you can go, if you have a carry permit, where you can go, obviously, in Minnesota, you just like almost any other state, most states, you can't obviously, schools, you can't go to schools, you can't go in, obviously federal buildings, or federal property, that's the law, and everywhere, federal property. You can't go in schools in Minnesota. You can't go in courthouses in Minnesota, jail lockup facilities. But then again, in constitutional carry states, you still can't go in schools, you still can't go in jail lockup facilities, you still can't go in courthouses. That stuff that they're expected, obviously going to ban. Obviously they don't want someone carrying in a jail because, a horde of criminals could jump you and take your gun. But we're not talking about, all that stuff. We're talking about the shall issue. Like I said, Minnesota is one of the most lax. You don't have to have, you know, a ton of credentials to apply for the carry permit. It's very simple. All you have to do is you have to go take a class. You have to pay about $75 for the class. Then you have to go pay up to $100 is the maximum. $100 is the cap at your county after you pass for your permit. And you just have to, supply your last, 10 addresses and your name, signature, and a valid, Minnesota ID. You don't have to get a mug shot taken, and you don't have to get fingerprinted, which is very nice. Because personally, I don't feel that to exercise something that is considerably called your right, you hear about these, shall issue being right to carry states. Yes, in a true sense, it is a right, meaning that as long as you meet the legal requirements, i.e. you're not a felon, domestic abuser, whatever, you are a person legally able to possess a gun, they have to issue that permit. Doesn't matter what they think, they have to issue it in the shall issue state. That's where they get the right to carry from. But the thing that, kind of gets me is, it's your right, why do you have to pay for it? Okay, if you want to carry if you want to if you really they need to have actual permit cards and all that other stuff, and they call it a right, like right to carry, then to exercise your right you shouldn't technically have to pay for that right in order to be able to exercise it. Get what I mean? Like, you should be able to apply for your permit, and not have to pay $100 here or $100 there. So in Minnesota, before you're all said and done, it's about $200 to get your carry permit. There are people who are financially strapped for cash, like people who are paycheck to paycheck with kids who just want a carry permit to protect their family, and they might not be able to pay or afford $200. They should have the right, to just go and either, again, we're not talking about constitutional carry here, because in all aspects that would be the best option. But we're talking about still shall issue. If in a shall issue state, since it's a right to carry, you'd be able to apply for the permit, not have to pay a $100 fee. They should be able to give you the permit. You shouldn't have to pay anything for it because it's your right, right? People say, well, you have to pay, for a driver's license renewal. Driving is not a right. Driving is a privilege. A lot of people think driving's a right. It's not. It's a privilege. Okay? But, that's just almost like, hey, I have the right to vote, right? Oh, I have to pay $50 to register to vote? It would be like that. If you had to pay to register to vote, that would get huge criticism because they're making you pay for a right. Which, I don't really agree with. I don't think you should have to pay for a carry permit. And it's worse in other states. I mean, it's worse in other states. Like, there are states where, like I said, Minnesota is one of the best shall issue. It's not too terribly expensive, but still you have to pay for it. There are other states where, we're going to mention a may issue state here. New York City it's not a state, but it's a city. To get a carry permit in New York City, the application fees and fingerprinting fees and all the other fees you have to pay is upwards of $500 to apply. Now, even if you meet all the requirements to legally possess a firearm, 90% of the time they're going to reject you, unless you're a private business owner or someone special. They're going to reject you if you're just an average Joe. And no, you do not get your $500 back. The city keeps the $500. So just to apply in New York City is upwards of like $500, $450, $500. That price is so high that's what's called, I can't remember the technical term, but it's to discourage the person from wanting to get it. It's a price so high to discourage the sale. Or not the sale, but, to get it, which is ridiculous because, at that point in time they're making it so only someone who is extremely wealthy or someone who, just has, money to throw away pretty much can get a carry permit there or even apply, which is ridiculous, and that's just not even fair to the, everyday people. But, like us going back to shall issue here, got sidetracked on may issue there. Shall issue, there's some states that require fingerprinting and photographing, which I think is ridiculous. That's just completely stupid. Why should someone, in order to exercise their right, have to go get a mug shot and get fingerprinted like a felon? You know what I mean? It's kind of just ridiculous. Again, if you had to get fingerprinted and your photo taken to vote, your right to vote, people would jump on that right away and say that's horrible. That's not constitutional. That's communist. You know, I just don't really agree with the whole fingerprinting. I think that's just way overboard. And another thing that does too is some people say that people who get carry permits, they're registered with the state as a permit to carry holder. If the state ever decided to come and take the guns, or the government ever decided to come and take the guns, whatever, if that ever happened, which is unlikely, but if it ever happened, all they would see is, oh, this guy's got a carry permit. He obviously has a gun. We're going to go there. See if he has any guns. Take his guns. Oh, this guy has a carry permit. Go there next. In a way, in my mind, I kind of think having a permit to carry is not background gun registration. I'd say it's more background gun owner registration, kind of like a FOID card is in Illinois. It doesn't say, how many guns you have in the card, like it does in Illinois. Which guns, you have to have the card to buy the gun. But in the end, the government has record that, you have a carry permit, so obviously you have a gun. So it's kind of backdoor registration in a small way. Yeah. But then again, it's like, hey, if the government wanted to come and seize all the NICS forms at FFL dealers, they could do that too, and then, there they have all that information. So, I don't know. But personally, carry permits, hopefully in the next 10 years we see more and more states go to constitutional carry. There's a bill in the House right now actually for universal reciprocity, which is good, meaning anybody who has a carry permit from any state, they all have to be equal, like a driver's license. If I wanted to drive to Texas, my driver's license would be valid all through the states. It's going to be the same as a driver's license. It's valid in all states, but like a driver's license, you have to obey the traffic motor vehicle laws of that state you're in. With this bill, you have a carry permit, you have to obey the gun laws of the state you're in. So let's say if you wanted to travel to California with universal reciprocity, you would have to obey their concealed carry. You couldn't have anything over a 10-round mag. Your gun would have to be on the California roster of handguns, that type of thing. In order to legally carry it. Or if you wanted to carry in New York, it would be ridiculous. You'd pretty much be restricted to anything that holds 7 rounds or less. But, universal reciprocity, it's awesome for, if you're traveling, because I'm telling you one thing, I've traveled throughout other states before and, up and down 3-4 different states, and it is a hassle trying to spend a couple days ahead of time looking up all these state laws to make sure, your reciprocity is good. You're not going to get put in jail if you get pulled over because your gun's not holstered properly or something like that, or, you have one more bullet in the magazine than there can be. It's a hassle, learning all the laws. But like I said, if they did the universal reciprocity, you still have to obey all those laws, but at least you'd know then that, your reciprocity is good all the way around. And I think it also affects local governments. Like, local governments can't ban guns either. Obviously, it's not going to pass, in the Senate because, it's a pro-gun law that would drastically change the country, opening up universal reciprocity. It's not going to pass. Be nice if it did. But even if it did pass, Obama would have to sign it, and we all know Obama would not sign it, and then would have to go back to the Senate and get a 2/3 vote, which is extremely unlikely because our Senate is democratically run. So the chances of it passing are probably about 1%, but still, if it passed, it'd be pretty cool. Anyway, sidetracked again. But anyway, that's my views on the right to carry. Any comments, questions? Feel free to send me a message. Spartan765 out.